See you. Welcome to Porch Play Chats, sponsored by the American Association for the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately named IPA USA. IPA USA is a USA affiliate of the International Play Association. You can find more about IPA USA by visiting our website at ipausa.org. And up in that top right-hand corner, you'll see a link to our YouTube channel, and so you can subscribe. You can be a friend on our Facebook page, and Lisa will help me figure out how you do whatever you're doing.
You can follow us on Instagram.
Follow us on Instagram. Thank you, Lisa. And magically, every Monday, a new Porch Play Chat will appear in your feed. I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm the president of IPA USA. And joining me on the porch is my co-facilitator, Lisa Murphy.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Or afternoon, wherever you are. And joining us today is Lindsay Dzielski. Did I do that right?
It's good. It's jel-ski. It works.
Okay. So you're going to have to coach me on that.
Yep.
So Lindsay is the chair of the IPA USA Pop-Up and Play Day Committee. And so today she's actually going to talk to us about pop-up playgrounds and how to bring them back in your community. Lindsay is from Buffalo, New York.
Oh,
and I know, that's where Lisa used to be. She's a mom, play advocate, artist, and play coordinator for a nonprofit called the COT Neighbors United, a grassroots group in the city of Tonawanda. See, I don't know all these names. She holds a bachelor's in education and a bachelor's of fine art and a master's in creativity and innovation. I want to know about that degree. And her goal is to bring back into childhood while reminding and educating the parents why it's so important for children to play. She fights for recess and play in school. She advocates for play spaces within her city and tries to make a change one cardboard box at a time. Mm-hmm. And on this Porch Play Chat, you are seeing one of her pop-up play days.
Mm-hmm. I have to ask two things right out the gate. One, Buffalo, do you know Mike Huber?
Yes. Yeah, I met him. We met in San Antonio.
Wonderful. And two, what does COT stand for? Neighbors United.
City of Tonawanda.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's just
makes
easier.
Perfect sense. Tonawanda. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to remember that.
There's a quiz later, Deb.
Yeah. So Lindsay, talk to us about pop-up plays, because I think people sometimes get intimidated by, oh, I have no idea where to start. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So I was intimidated. I had for years watched what UK was doing with the adventure playgrounds. And at that time, my son was in like kindergarten, first grade, and we were having problems with other kids coming over and not knowing what to do without their gaming system or the television or a phone. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's not something that we do in our house. Our backyard is a kid's playground, right? Everything from a mud kitchen to a trampoline to a climbing dome to even a cut flower area where you can, it's producing lots of flowers so they can use it for the mud kitchen. And then like the playhouse, and a mud pit. So they have full reign in the backyard. And we were noticing that kids were coming over and they didn't know what to do. Or they had 5 minutes of energy outside and then they wanted to come inside because it was too warm or too sunny. Mm-hmm. So the way that I run the house is you're outside all day if it's sunny, right? So we started noticing that the kids were struggling. And then after a few times, the kids would finally click and they were enjoying it. And then we became the house that all the kids come to. Even now, we have some of the older kids on the street who are 14, 15, who come and you'll see them playing in the mud kitchen, whether they're cleaning it or they're making their own mud pie or soup. That 14, 15-year-old is still doing it on their own. So after seeing that take place in the yard for a few years, we started thinking about what can we do. I have a great partner in COT Neighbors United, Marianne Kinsella, and I come up with ideas constantly. but then I kind of back away because it's just an idea. I don't know what to do. She's the implementer.
Mhm.
So she's like, well, that's a great idea. Let's do this pop-up playground. What's stopping you? And I said, I don't know what to do. She's like, well, let's just do one and figure it out. So our first one, we did not reach out to anybody except for our friends and said, hey, we're going to meet at a park. We're going to bring some stuff. Come and play with us. And at that point, there was probably about maybe 20 of us. And then it grew just in the 3 hours to like 40, 45 people. And it was just from people driving past. We did it right at a gazebo where it's a turnaround, right? So there was good traffic. And, you know, we had a very good turnout and we're like, okay, it worked. They understood the concept, you know, or some of it was very foreign to even the young adults. And they're like, why, what do they do with these boxes? Well, what did you do when you were little? And so we had very vague rules of just, you know, be nice to each other. Parents kind of sit back, let the kids do what they're going to do, and just, you know, share with each other. So for me, at that point, I realized it was about educating the adults. So we did it from May through September for 2019, and it just kept growing. And we got a little bit more courageous and we went down to the river. So we have the Erie Canal right here. So we went down to Tonawanda River and we just started to set up there. And we were kind of, what do we do? We're just going to do it. Hopefully no one yells at us. And really our first year and a half, we did it without any sort of permission. And it started to just get big. We'd have 100 kids at a time. Different politicians would drive by and wonder what this is, because we would only announce it on Facebook. And it started to gain attention. And then to stick with that old childhood mentality, we also brought in like model rocket launch. That brought in then a different generation to come in. We also brought in, this past year, we brought in Teen Wars. So it's just focused on that unstructured play for teens. Now, you know, we do the right channels. So you should do the right channels. You reach out to your city, you see about getting a permit, and you fill out the paperwork that the city requests. But initially we just tried it and we just didn't know what to expect. And it's drastically grown. And the involvement from the community has just been amazing. People who work for a cardboard factory, they drive by and they're like, hey, I work at a cardboard factory. Can I drop off 10-foot tubes? Yes, please. I'll gladly take them, you know, or like, here's my address, or just people I don't even know, just know where I live and they drop off stuff and it's in my driveway.
So to that, I'm going to interrupt you because I know this is what some of our viewers are thinking. Where do you store things and what do you do with the stuff at the end of the day?
Sure. So we had, our first year, we had someone with a trailer and we would load everything up into the trailer, pull it in the back of a truck, take it to the location and unload, pack it again and go back. Up until last year, it was my garage.
Okay.
So we were using our garage. It's a two-car garage and it was full of stuff. And we essentially just gave up our garage so we could do this. And then we started to, as we grew, we started to think outside the box. So last year we just put it out there. Would you like to sponsor a location?
Nice.
So in that case, we had a gentleman, Don Whitcop, who said, hey, I'll sponsor your location. And he sponsored the storage unit for us for the whole, we call it the season, because right, Buffalo, we have the snow. So our season essentially is from April until October is when we need the storage unit. And then when we run the events from May through September. So he sponsored it and we just promoted him on Facebook.
How often between May and September do you do them?
We do it monthly.
Once a month.
So we do it the third Saturday of the month. We wanted to keep it routine. So families can build it into the routine. You know, are there times where soccer and baseball are all happening? So it's a lower number? Yes, and that's fine. And then other times it's packed and there's
do you think people would come out every like if you had the ability to do it every single weekend, do you think you'd have people?
Yes, because what we experienced when we first started, so we started in June of 2019. It had great success. July, we did it again. And then after our second one in July, one of our local committees reached out who does like a food truck night.
Oh,
And
Nice.
what they realized, and we also were part of that realization, like we would go and we never could stay and enjoy because the kids were bored,
Mhm.
right? So I have a 12-year-old and a 6-year-old. So we wanted to listen to the music, we wanted to enjoy, but the kids, there was nothing for the kids. So we did about 6 or 7 weeks every Thursday where we also brought a smaller version to what we to the hub that we call, and we would offer this while the band was playing and while the food trucks were there, and you'd
That's
see
fantastic.
the repeated families.
sure,
Huh?
sure.
And even years later, there's repeated families that we're watching grow up.
Tell us about the items that you had in your garage that you, I mean, we can see what's behind you, but
Lots of boxes.
Boxes.
give us a list. If somebody's like, ooh, I want to do this, what's that top 5 things? you're
Yeah,
gonna
so
toss out?
the plastic kiddie pools, those
Mhm.
are great because what we did our first year was we were using rice because everyone talked about sensory rice. All right, let's use rice. And then as we were cleaning up, we're like, this isn't a good idea. It's not nature friendly.
Mhm.
So we scrapped the rice and we went to a 20-pound bag of bird food.
Mhm.
Bird
So
food.
now we just fill one of
Gotcha.
those pools up with a 20-pound bag of bird food each month. If it gets in the grass, it's fine.
Okay.
That's right.
You know, the
birds will be
geese and the
happy.
ducks love it.
I
Right.
like that. I like
And
that.
the kids, some of these little kids will spend hours just at that pool.
Scooping.
Yeah,
Scooping
scooping
and pouring.
dumping and putting their hands through, burying their legs, or they're taking tubes and now they're bringing the tubes and they're dumping and letting it come down. All the engineering that we want to teach, right?
Yeah.
And so the bird food in the plastic tub, I would say, is number one, because just nobody expects that to be the hit, and it is always the hit.
Mhm.
The second big thing I say, and that comes to a lot of driving around and paying attention to what's in like warehouse yards. So we have, I don't think it's in the picture. No. So we have a old sewer drain.
Sewer
And
drain.
it's a sewer, like one of those big plastic tubes that like
Oh, the
Clifford
black
put his
one?
nose
Oh,
stuck
yeah,
in.
yeah. I have one of
So-
those. I'll tell you that story in a minute.
So for years, I would drive past this warehouse and I always would see it in the back by like the field part. And I was like, oh, someday I'm going to go ask for this because I want it for like the garden. And then I just said, you know what, I'm just going to go ask. And I went and I asked if I could have this tube. It's only about maybe 4 feet long. And it's the highlight. It is the highlight. And the warehouse said, we don't even know where it came from. Someone just like junked it on our property. And so
That's how you know that you're doing good work, because somebody was like, this is garbage. And they're like, nope, let's give it to Lindsay.
Yep, I'll take it. I usually get those calls all the time. But really, like, that was a big thing. So whether you purchase it or ask different plumbing companies, contractors, cities, if they have any of those remnants of those tubes. Because they're not overly, they're not the right size to use for projects typically.
Mhm.
So that sewer drain, that plastic sewer drain, is huge because, again, where we are in Tonawanda, there's a slight incline. So those kids push it right up. Someone goes in and then they go right down.
Right down. Yeah.
How fun is that?
And they have fun. I mean, even the adults go in it at times.
And
So-
so we see boxes, lots of
Boxes.
boxes.
Yep.
And what is the umbrella looking thing?
That was someone gifted us like a kid's circus bedroom toy where they could go and like read.
Mhm.
So we'll have those. Sometimes we'll put more sensory based items in there just to kind of give smaller children the opportunity to not be in sun. But really it ends up everywhere.
Mhm.
So we just put it out, and whatever they do with it, that's what they do with it. The boxes we just put out on Facebook. Can I have your boxes? We have a local hardware store who
Are they boxed? Like, are they assembled or are they flat?
both.
Yeah,
They're both. I'm 5'2" and we had a stack of flat boxes, brand new, taller than me, someone gave us.
Wow.
And those were great. We went to like the grocery stores also have like good egg boxes. Those are really good.
Mhm.
So it's really like the hardware stores and the grocery stores have good boxes. And then you just put it out there. You know, when you have a realtor friend, you ask if, you know, when they sell a house, if they could talk about giving the box to so-and-so for when they buy the new appliance. And
Mhm.
we just take it all down. So we dismantle all the boxes, stick them in a big sturdier box, and that's how we transport them. And then we spend half hour before each event making all the boxes.
Okay.
And so
okay.
how long is each event each month?
We were doing it for 3 hours, but what we noticed is that, so we would do it from 10 until 1,
Mhm.
but we noticed that like 12:30, 12:15, 12:30, it kind of would die down drastically.
Mhm.
So this year we're going to go 10 until 12,
Mhm.
but if people are there, we're not going to clean up.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
what about food trucks coming?
That's a great idea.
We've looked into it. There's a couple different guidelines that we personally have to go through in our location if we try to do that.
Mhm.
But for our day of play in September, we do have our local Lions Club come in and offer food.
Oh, nice.
So,
There you
because that
go.
is a longer event, so then they do have the food and the drinks and the ice cream.
Got it. Got it.
Mhm.
So now do you go to one place or do you do the river sometimes in the
Yeah,
near the
so
gazebo?
we experimented. Our first year, we stayed at Neighbors Park for the most part. We
Mhm.
stayed right along the river because it's 3 miles of walking, it's
Mhm.
green space, it's a main road. So we're getting the visual advertisement, so to speak, to
Mhm.
come and stop.
Mhm.
And we did try, the following year, we tried different locations. But what we noticed was some of the parents were saying like, you know, there's no bathroom at this park,
Yeah.
or there's no shade at this park. So we went with it for a year. We committed to changing the park, and then we went back to just bouncing between 2 parks that have a bathroom location and shade. And
Mhm.
this year we decided we're just going to kind of stay at Tonawanda because that riverfront and the road, it just gives us the biggest exposure to impact that many more families.
Mhm.
You know, and we had a family from Toronto who they were driving to someplace south and came through Niagara Falls and City of Tonawanda, and they saw this and they, what is this? So they stopped, and lo and behold, they stayed the whole time and chatted with us the whole time, and they
Wow.
just took it as like a rest stop, where if we
Yeah.
weren't on like that main road,
Mhm.
they could have missed it.
Okay,
So-
so I have 2 questions. One, did you stay in touch with that family? Like, are they doing one now in Toronto? You know, and they're
No,
like,
we did not. You know, it was my husband who was talking to them for most of it because I was busy with everything else. And he, after the fact, he was like, "Oh, you won't believe," and I was like, "Oh,"
oh.
you know.
And
But
my
I do know, like, they were really excited about it.
my second question is, talk to me or talk to us about families with children with disabilities or families with disabilities. Have you been able to figure out a way to include that population?
Yeah. So my son is neurodivergent, and he has some struggles with impulse control and noises and people at times.
Mhm.
So we spread it out enough
Okay.
Mhm.
where you could have a more populated area to then a lesser popular area. So like even in the picture here, all these boxes are right here, but to this side, we have a whole area just of sensory play based stuff.
Nice.
To the top, we had a whole area with shaving cream and paint and shipping plastic to act like a wall. And then over to this side, we had a whole model rocket launch. So we kind of spread out to give
Mhm.
everybody their space.
Mhm.
And then also try to just meet the different needs that may arise, you know.
Wonderful.
How many people help you and how do you fund?
It's her. Come on, Deb. You know the answer to that.
You know this answer.
So people are going to ask that.
So we have COT Neighbors United is 5 people. plus my husband, so 6, plus our, other people's husbands. So there's not a lot of us. We do the shout outs on Facebook and through the school district for help, because in our state, seniors have to do, in order to graduate, you have to have so many volunteer hours. So we do hit out to the schools that if you need volunteer hours, this is a fun one, because you come set up for an hour, play for 3, and then, break down for an hour, and we'll give you all of that, because it's all relative.
What about, so I was a part of a pop-up play experience in Indianapolis, and similar, very, very similar, right? The whole setup. They gave also rope, Sharpie markers, tape, and box cutters. Are you providing those kinds of extra?
Not box cutters, but so this year we had a sponsor, the City of Tonawanda Board of Visual and Performing Arts. They provided us with funds to have a maker station.
Okay.
So now we have 3 or 4 totes of stuff. And it's all like open-ended art supplies, and they can do what they want. We do try to put a volunteer at that area, just to make sure none of the little kids are like eating the glue, or eating the glitter. But other than that, all of our volunteers are really just playing and acting more as a play worker than hovering over anyone. But that's been a huge hit. Same with just taking an old bed sheet and spray bottles, filling it with the water. The kids love doing that. And we just wash it at the end of the year. You
realize you're describing what Deb and I's retirement plan is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Deb and I are going to buy like the biggest, we're going to have like a semi truck trailer. We're just going to drive around and that's
my hope. I'm hoping we can get large enough where we can do this.
And that's it. I want to go into North Philadelphia, and I want to open the back door of this truck or trailer, and I want to bring all this stuff out.
Well, and what I'm going to add to that is that the weekend events and evening events, when space or lighting permits, is what gets the word spread, because my intention to add to that is then to have those pop-up trailers on the school grounds. And there's as we all know, there's a huge movement of that in Europe, and I think there's room for us to, I'm not saying it's not happening here. I don't want anybody to get upset with me. I'm just saying there's room for us to take a page from that and have those big, I don't know what to call them, the semi-trailer truck.
Just a trailer, or a pod, right?
A pod. And just you open it up and you have a couple play workers that are there.
And that's our plan. Like we did it at our school district. They invited us to come in, and we filled an entire gym with boxes, and we made fake snow. Again, those plastic pools come in handy, because we filled one with dry pasta, one with fake snow, one with like the bird food. And then also too, what we started to use this year as well was PVC pipe. So I did a Facebook call. Everything I get is off of Facebook. I just ask people for their stuff. And then we do sponsors. So for the day of play, we ask people if they'd like to sponsor. We came up with really playful names for the different tiers. So it's not just 1, 2, 3. It was like the imagination igniter. It was the spontaneous sparker, creativity contributor, right? So we made it playful for the person or the business to sponsor. We were able to use that to get some of those higher ticket items. The PVC pipe, we just cut into random sizes. And if you get like the 1 inch, and then you get the pool noodles, take a night of pool noodles and just saw them into inch-long pieces. And that was something even teenagers were playing with. It went back to like that whole pattern, and they wanted to create patterns. Then they wanted to create the pattern while making a person out of PVC and the elbows, and like that was fascinating.
Is COT a nonprofit? Are you able to take advantage of that?
Yes, we are officially a 501c3 in New York. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep, we got that over summer, so we're super excited.
So 5 people volunteer their time once a month on a Saturday.
And look how many children are being touched.
Yeah.
Yes. And think about those of you who are out there thinking, oh, this is something I'd like to do. Think about the lives you're changing, both the families' lives
Mhm.
and giving children this opportunity to take some risks going into this space where they may not know anybody unless they've been there 2 or 3 times. So I mean, just think about the opportunity. Yeah, this is my retirement. So think about.
No, it's my retirement.
It
Yeah, I
really
know.
is. It's
You
bringing
and I
back the
just need to be
memories.
together. We could do it together. We'd have so much fun.
We'll just
Um,
check in with our families like a couple times. We'll be good.
Yeah,
Like, where
yeah,
are
we'll
you?
be on the road. You know,
Yeah,
Tammy
right?
Hester and her husband are in a RV, a fifth wheel, going around the country doing, visiting everything. And I'm like, I want to be in the fifth wheel and pull
And
a
do this.
trailer. We could do
Do
it.
this.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
You'd
do
be
this.
surprised too how many adults, came up and they're like, I never thought to keep the box. And I just
Uh-huh.
look at them like, what? You didn't think to keep the box? Like, this was my childhood, was inside of a box playing
Yeah.
or a fort, and it's been interesting to see the adults who I saw them playing with the box. I kept the box and they're having a blast with the Chewy box, or, like
Look at
they're
the
having a
impact
good
you're
time.
making. I hope
I
you are
know.
taking some time to pat yourself on the back. As our parents get younger, they themselves don't have necessarily, I'm making a gross generalization,
Mhm.
they don't have those play memories that older people like me and Deb have. We, of course, had because we didn't have anything else. So we had the boxes. Now it's like, oh, I bought you something, I throw the box away. And they're
Yes.
like, oh, hold on, time out. And so it might be late to the party, so to speak, but now you're allowing the adult to create new play memories, which is it's going to allow them to then understand and appreciate what their child's doing. They're not just playing with the garbage or messing with the garbage.
Mhm.
There is value, there's inherent value in what they're actually doing. So I am very excited about, and I'm kind of sad I've left Rochester, because I would be number 6 that would show up with you.
I mean, you could always come back and visit.
I will, not right now because it's still snowing, but I'll be back.
And it's set, so you already know going into the summer for vacations when we'll have
Every
it in
third
the summer.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Lindsay,
also too, I
talk
wanted to
about-
say that it's important too for the education part, right? So I talked about we call it the hamster wheel, the sewer drain.
Okay.
Mhm.
By the hill where they play with that, we also have a poster, and it's 24 by 36, and it has a quote about risky play. So
Mhm.
throughout the area, like you can kind of see one in the top that looks like that was one that was thrown on the ground.
Uh-huh.
But we have posters throughout the whole space that have quotes that tell you what happens during play, that tells you,
Nice.
how play is connected to mental health, how it's the work of childhood. And we just try to educate the adults. So while the adults watching their kid go down the hill with the drain, they're also reading the poster by accident, by default. And they're like, okay, it's okay that they're doing this. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to also educate the adult without them realizing that we're doing that as well.
So I want to say 2 things to that. Sorry, Deb, I'm going to
Mhm.
jump in. So
That's okay.
I'm in the pop-up playwork certification class right now, and it's absolutely beautiful. And one of the initial early modules, and I'm forgetting which one, but there was a link we had to watch as a part of the class where there was a group that had set up a play day like this for the children, but then they set up a spot for the parents. And there was actually a very, very trained play worker who was almost translating for the parents what was happening. And then they interviewed the parents and said, what are you noticing? Like, give us your feedback. And so many of the parents, like, I'm reducing it, but the common denominator was, I didn't know my kid was so capable.
Yes.
I didn't know my kid. And so just simply by making them not be allowed to be all up in their business, they were seeing their children in a way that they had never had before. So I wanted to toss that out. But then the second thing is, you need to do a workshop on this. And I'm being a little bossy. There's an article in here. There is a workshop in here. There is a how to make this manageable and doable. And I say that very seriously, because I think many of us are good at things and we're like, well, duh, anybody could do this. And then there's somebody else going, I need somebody to tell me the 5 things right? I
Mhm.
need somebody to tell me who would I even call in my city to get a permit, like
Mhm.
breaking it down. And I'm giving you there would be a market for that for you big time.
Yep. And Lindsay, I'm thinking a town hall before the National Day of Play.
Yeah, I think that would
Yeah.
be a great idea.
Yeah. So
Just a
even
little
in
baby step by
July,
step.
maybe.
Yeah.
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 Step by step town hall, how
Yeah.
to plan your National Day of Play.
I
All
think
right.
that's a
So
good idea.
before we cut you off, because we have somebody else coming on, but I want you to talk about the bubble machine and how you got the bubble machine.
So I through just all the different things that I follow and everything, right? I saw that the IPA USA has the mini grant. So we just gotten our 501c3 status days before I saw it. And so we applied for it. So we were able to receive the mini grant from IPA USA, get the foam machine. And it was a huge hit. A huge hit. We had the boxes, and then kind of like down here, we had the foam machine going, and then we added like an extra blower to make it really fly. And the kids and the adults were covered in the foam. They had the paints and the shaving cream. They had the art supply area, and then we had the firemen come at the end of the day and wash them off. So
I would've been there
everybody
for the
went home
firemen.
clean, maybe just wet. But we knew everybody would be dirty. So we had the fire department come in the last half hour and wash everybody down. And it was just such a nice way to end. And the foam machine just gave such a different element that, since we had just started with the 501, we didn't really, funding wasn't really our thing yet. And that was like our big ticket. We really would like to get it, and we were able to because of the mini grant.
So there's money there, people. So, and for the National Day of Play, the first 12 cities or organizations who want to do the National Day of Play, IPA USA will give you a mini grant to help you with the materials and to get you going. Hopefully that you'll continue it every year on National Day of Play and other times during the year. So we'll sort of get
We
you.
have it forever now, so we're going to
Yeah.
use it pretty much all summer.
Yeah, give you some funding for that.
Mhm.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. To learn more about IPA USA, please visit our website at ipausa.org. And until next time, keep on playing.
Bye-bye.
Bye.